All right, welcome to episode 114 of My FX Buddies, the podcast. And I say podcast because there's a blog, which this is one of those ones you might want to go to the blog because I have some videos. I think 2 videos. Um, but so my fxbuddies.blogspot.com is how you get to the blog. I'm going to try something new and put this directly to YouTube. So we'll see how that goes. And YouTube, just a reminder, everything I cover is under the Fair Use Disclaimer Act. RSS.com has a transcript for those of you who can't understand me. Rumble has video, my FX Buddies, just anywhere that there's video or a podcast content. If you put in my FX Buddies, if I'm there, it'll come up. But wherever you are enjoying this content, if there's a more or info or open or intro, if there's a button, something like that, if you click on that, a box will open that will have a link to the blog and possibly maybe another link also. All right, so let's get to it. So this may be a long one. I may go 40 minutes. I'm just warning you. There's a lot here. This is the what was I gonna say? There's a speech, 2 speeches, I think. Yeah, so there's a lot to read, but there's pictures and there's videos also. All right, so today is Friday. It is September 27th, 2024, and we'll just get into it. So it says, Sudani returns to Baghdad after concluding his participation in the UN meeting. So he did participate. He had a lot of meetings. He gave 2 speeches. One we already covered, as a matter of fact. And then the last, seemingly, well, one of the last things that he did was to give a speech that his people are calling historic. And they're very proud of him. Okay, so let's see. So he's already back in Baghdad. He delivered the speech of Iraq and held a series of meetings. So these are just some of the meetings, right? He met with the King of Jordan. I already told you about Turkey, Cyprus, Kenya. He met with someone from Yemen, Kuwait, Lebanon, the Dutch minister. Look at that. They censored part of his name, his or her. I wonder why. It must have been something bad in English. Anyway, oh yeah, Italy. That was a pretty big meeting. Oh look, he met with Greece, the Greek prime minister. So see, lots and lots and lots. Of course, he met with Anthony or Anthony. I don't know how you say the guy's name. Blinken. And yeah, so you can scroll down here and see all the people he met with. Okay, and then here, so I made an attempt to do this last night, and last night they had just said that he was leaving New York. And it was about 10 o'clock my time, so it was like 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern. And so then here are, if you want to read everything, I know some people just like bullet points, highlights of dialogue session attended by Sudani in New York. So this was Wednesday at midnight. He met with the American Chamber of Commerce, Iraqi American Business Council, a whole lot of people in one room. Okay, I think I showed you pictures, but here is more of what they talked about. They need a stable Iraq in the region. The region's a little sensitive right now, and we'll get into that. But also they say they're going through an unprecedented stage of stability and recovery since 2003, right? So yeah, so you could read all of this. We've developed a plan to develop the infrastructure with allocations of up to $83 billion, some of which they need, some of which they have, some of which they need. All right. Sudani issues banking directives, including suspending capital increases for banks subject to U.S. sanctions. So here's a small little snippet picture of this is Wali Adeyemo. He works for the Treasury. I'm not sure who she is. She might just be a note taker. But yeah, so they met, and this is where they were praised for everything they were doing. They actually, I'm sure they had more than one meeting, but that's this one. So if you want to read about that, see here. Here's the last paragraph. For his part, Adeyemo praised the progress witnessed by Iraq in field of economic and banking reforms that were achieved in record time. See that? So that credit goes to Sudani, whether he deserves it or not. He's the prime minister, so it goes to him. And the state of economic growth that reached a total of about 6%, which enhances the government's efforts in development, expressing readiness to cooperate and work within a bilateral partnership that serves the interests of economic development. So their non-oil income is over 6%. That makes the IMF, the Treasury, that makes them happy. Here, look, they're really moving to use barcode technology. This is Ramadan barcode system for Iraqi and foreign company incorporation certificates. Who knows if it'll really work though, because they still need 24-hour internet, 24-hour electricity. So yeah, so I just put that there. You could read that if you like. What is this? Okay. Something we don't talk about often is the parallel market rate. The parallel market rate is really high again. It's back up to 1527. So 1527 dinars per dollar. So if it's that much in writing, someone is probably paying $1,550 so, per dinar, right? Sorry. Yeah, $1,550 per dinar because it's 1310. The official price for the dinar is 1310 dinars per dollar. Excuse me, I did say it backwards. So 1527 dinars per dollar, and that's going in the wrong direction. They really wanted it lower. It was lower, but this I believe is why. So this is a really bad translation. So I'm just going to tell you what this article says. Remember, I was excited about one bank, the Bank of Babylon. They had said, oh, this is, we're going to shut you down. You're going to be liquidated. This is the guy who's going to liquidate you. Well, then they put this out with two other banks, Islamic Bank and Bank of the Middle East, I guess. I don't know. So the three of these banks are going to be put under guardianship or be liquidated, or perhaps guardianship is on the way to being liquidated, right? But then it said they're going to delay it to October 31st. But even with that, I believe it's this step right here that's making the parallel market rise. So there were three banks that probably were dealing in the dollar even though they weren't supposed to be. So there's three less places for people to get dollars, which makes the price go up, right? Because there's less availability of it. So here's more about Sudani meeting the Cypriot president. Let's see. Okay, here's the room. And this isn't even, oh well, it didn't get bigger. But there's probably over 100 people in this room. It's a huge room. But look how dark and dreary it is. Whatever. I don't have time. Don't have time to do that. So they met after midnight in New York at this place, wherever it is. And this is where they met, and they talked about investing in oil, gas, some other thing, some other type of gas, and derivatives, not derivatives, condensates. I don't know. So, um, some, just different kinds of things, all kinds of businesses. And then also, is this the one where he says, we have developed a plan to develop the infrastructure? No, there's another one. It seems really strange. Just, it's thrown in there. Oh, yeah, and by the way, we're going to start a new bank. I think it means the digital banks. But check this out. Minister of Finance participates in Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank meetings. Now, for those of you who don't know, Iraq was a member, is a member, has been a member of the AIIB. So they had a meeting September 25th, 26th. The finance minister was there. It was under the slogan, Building Infrastructure for All. So I'm pretty sure they already expected by this time to have their money revalued. But yeah, so they went. She went there. Okay. Here it is. Currency selling window will close at the end of the year. Sudani says we intend to establish a new bank that adopts the latest technologies. So here you can see more of the people, but this still goes down longer, and then it has so I would say this is the top seat at the table, and there's the counter to that half, right? But it's huge. It's huge. Okay. So they talk about that. So the auction is what they're saying, that's nothing new. They've been saying they were going to close the option by the end of the year. So they talk about the oil stuff, and then all of a sudden, in is it the last paragraph? Yeah. Sudani says we provided loans to workers in the food industry sector of various types, and part of them are covered by sovereign guarantees, noting that the central bank has independence and exercises its powers with complete professionalism. And there is an intention to establish a new bank that adopts the latest technologies. So I think they're talking about those digital banks that Aliyah Locke had been talking about all week. And by the way, today's the first day there's no articles about removing the zeros. Today, there's articles about the current exchange rate, but not the 3 zeros. But don't panic. You know, how, what more else can you say? We know you're planning to do it. Yeah, so just go ahead and do it. But anyway, okay, so here's a 20 right here. And then these people are, I guess they're from the Kurdistan region. They announced having a really, really fruitful meetings and an agreement, an important agreement on the table of Baghdad and Erbil. So we'll see. You can read this if you like. He says, we've developed a roadmap. There's another roadmap to receive the points of contention between the central government, which is Baghdad, and the regional government regarding the oil export file. So the region is who? The Kurds. Yes, that's right. So then if you continue, it goes on to say, but we'll still continue to have meetings on these subjects. So I'm like, man, what's the point? What's the point? Just get it done, then tell us, right? Expert comments on the return of the dollar exchange rate in Baghdad, that it's high, and he thinks it's going to get to 1600. This isn't the one. I apologize. This, but So this guy is saying, even though they've made all these efforts and they brought in here's the Oliver Wyman, the Ernst and Young, and they're going by the proper way, going through the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve, the parallel dollar rate is still rising. And this one really doesn't say why they think it will, but he says if the next, also, they still haven't made that platform to trade for the merchants to trade with Iran and Syria directly. And that puts great demand for the dollar through the parallel market. See? So nothing new. All right, here. Prime Minister, Iraq is witnessing an urban and economic renaissance and revitalization of the industrial and agricultural sectors. Yeah, so there's a small little group. Here's Fawad Hussein. Here's Sudani. And they're talking. And you are welcome to read that article. And all of these articles are for free. Everything, you don't have to put your email address in or anything. Only if you would like to get notifications when I post, because I don't post regularly, right? Government advisor reveals the size of Iraq's external debts that must be paid. So these are different debts. A lot of people who are new, they don't realize that in 1990, there was a group called the Paris Club, not the environmental one that you probably have heard of. This was a group of people that I guess Saddam Hussein, maybe previous administrations of Iraq, owed them money. So when we got there, we actually negotiated with those entities and organizations and people and like, hey, let them just owe you X amount. You know the money's going to be worth more than what it is now. So let's do this now. Waive this debt now, and in 2020, see, here's 2004. The settlement reduced Iraq's $120 billion debt by 80% in 3 stages. But they're like, no, we're not waiving no more. You need to pay us. It's been enough time. We want our money. So, yeah. Actually, they must be extinguished by 2028. So they have time. They have time. I guess this was just a little reminder or maybe a catch-up meeting saying, hey, don't forget about us. We're over here waiting. All right. Here's the parliamentary committee making a very bold statement. There are people controlling investment in Iraq. And this may be a female because the name is Suzan. So this may be a female, but whoever they are, they're demanding that state assets be kept far away from investment, while pointing out that government oversight is absent in this file. So she's saying, look, you guys are selling off government assets while there's no oversight. How does that happen? So she's asking that, and she probably won't get an answer, but you never know. But they put that there for a reason, right? They want us to see that. All right, it has nothing to do with the Lebanese crisis. An expert explains the reason for the dollar's return to rise. What does it have to do with? Nothing to do with ice cream either. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure. They start going into history. They start talking about, I thought I saw 19 something. Well, whatever. Yeah. So if you'd like to read that, you can read that also. Okay. All right. So yeah. Okay. So we're done with that. Here's the one. Exchange companies, a coming jump in the dollar exchange rate, it will reach 1,600. Now, I know it says 160,000 dinars, but that's per $100. See? So if you take 2 zeros off to make it $1, then you take the 2 zeros off of the 160,000, it becomes 1,600. So we'll see. Now, it could happen over the weekend because there's no auctions over the weekend. So it does tend to rise over the weekend. So we'll see. We'll be here Monday. We'll see what happens. And then here's another article about the exchange rate changing. Okay. Now here's one of the videos. I'm not sure what this means right here. These two words, but it says campaign. This is the first video in a series of videos. So so it says transparency in dealing safety from counterfeiting or damage of currency. So the star of the commercial or whatever is this young lady. I have the video here, but I'm not going to play it. Matter of fact, I don't think it will play. She goes into, of all places, a gaming center. So I guess if people can't have or afford or whatever reason, they don't have the place. What are the boxes called? All right. Well, let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, I meant to take this out, but it's 40 seconds. So if they can go to these, I don't know if they're cafes or centers. I don't know what you would call them, but they have a really nice setup, and they're like individual little, I don't want to say stall, but it has a nice size TV, the little box, the modem is right there, a nice chair, a headset, and then the controller is there. So it just says the prevalence of cash payments instead of cash, but clearly that's a misprint, right? Commercial and investment transactions, the public and private sectors to ensure the rights of citizens. So now they're saying we're ensuring your right to deal with counterfeit-free money, right? Um, no damage to currency, and even theft. Just use your debit card. Internet system, see? Electronic payment via the internet, via the internet system, digital to reduce the risk of cash leakage. On the other hand, to enhance the ability of digital communication, equally shared among Arab countries at a high level. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. So here, okay, this is Sudani's speech, the speech that he gave. And for time's sake, I'm not going to cover any of it, but you should read it. It's very good, very forceful, but fair. A good speech? No, he doesn't say. And I know one of those YouTubers that makes the gaslighting thumbnails that a lot of people fall for, put um, they made it seem like it was saying Sudani announced their international. He did not. He didn't say a rate, but he did give a very, and mostly this speech is about their accomplishments, but also he condemned the UN for not taking a strong enough stand for the people of Pizza Land, right? And then also standing against the people of Ice Cream Land, right? So that's in here. Yeah. So if you want to read it, it looks like it's long. It's really not, though. It's just that it's all scrunched together. But you can read the whole thing on the blog. All right. And then, not only that, this guy here, almost immediately after the speech, they put this article out. Samarai praises Sudani's speech before the United Nations. It is worthy of Iraq, its history, and its international standing. So, he's proud. I wonder I could get, oh yeah, I could get it somewhere else too. Okay. But they're very proud of him. They like the way he represents the country and how it's Sudani has to walk a tight rope, fine rope between dealing with us and dealing with Iran, now Lebanon, right? So yeah, it's getting bad. It's getting bad, and we'll talk about it as best as I can. So here, this place is called Concordia, and Sudani was interviewed by them. And I could have sworn I talked about this in the last episode, but maybe not. Maybe, but if I didn't, this here again, he's talking about American companies and investors. Come on over to where is he? I almost did it again. I almost called it the wrong thing. But you might want to read this again. It's Sudani basically bragging about what he's done in the 2 years he's been prime minister. And they don't talk about raid or anything, but towards the end, oh, we're almost towards the end. Okay. The host barely says any words. And this was supposed to be 30 minutes, but they had trouble, I believe they had trouble with the translator. They didn't use a human. They used this little box thingy. But like what is it? About the size of Alexa. If you have the original one, the original Alexa, I think was bigger. I think they've made more compact versions of Alexa. But anyway, so the host asks one question. Sudani takes a long time to answer, but he's giving all the details, right? And he even says, I apologize for the length, but these are indicators that I would like to put before you about the reality of the economic environment. So that phrase was used about 4 times over the last 5 days and once in Iraqi. Okay. So then after he says that, the host says, thank you very much. It's really excellent to hear your progress that is going on in Iraq after many years of difficulties, and our short time has come to an end, but very honored. We are very honored as Concordia to have you here, and anything we can do to help get the message out about the reforms and investment here. And again, thank you. So he's like, yeah, we'll brag about all your accomplishments, but we want that economic reform and investments coming along too. Oh, all right. So, before I get into that, I'm gonna have to really walk around these. Here's an article. It's a hard read, right? But it's pretty true. If you're new to this, you may want to read this. If you go to the blog, it's the very last article. Here's the title. Why does the U.S. still control every penny of Iraqi oil revenues? And we do. And as long as we continue to control the power of, Iraq, the power grid, power, everything, and their money, they're not fully in control, right? So they talk about Executive Order 13303. They talk about the Federal Reserve System. They even talk about the yuan base and how that's not going to work. They'll never be the reserve currency. Okay. Legacy of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Yeah, so there's good history here. Blackmailing Iraq. Sounds pretty sad, right? But basically that's what we're doing. Okay? Yeah, so you might want to read that. Like I said, it's a hard read because we want to think, let me see. There are people who would like American citizens to believe we went over there to rescue Iraq. We saved Iraq. But let me see. The first sentence. Washington has maintained control over Iraq's oil revenues since its illegal 2003 invasion. So that's how the writer of this article, that's where they're coming from. And that a lot of people feel that way. So again, this is at the very bottom. It's the very last article, I believe. Yes, very last article on the blog. So you would have to go to the blog somehow, get a link or my epic buddies, and I will have to end soon, maybe. So yeah, that's there if you'd like. Now, if you don't pay attention to the news of what's going on between Ice Cream Land and everybody, right? There was new actions taken against Lebanon, right? And they're very upset. So who is in Lebanon? Hezbollah. And then also the Houthis, they operate out of there as well as a front, right? It's not well known, but you can tell. So, that's escalating, and these articles are here if you'd like to read them. U.S. to Ice Cream Land. Further escalation in Lebanon will make it more difficult for civilians to return. So I heard and I believe that somehow they're running like a warning message on the television, probably the radios also. Well, not now, but they were, right? Running these ads or whatever saying, hey, we're getting ready to bomb your home. So you might want to leave. Yeah, and give us about 4 days. 4 days of bombing your home, and then you can go back home. But if you just bomb my home, what do I have to go back home to, right? So I was like, that sounds crazy, but this whole situation is crazy. And then lo and behold, this article comes out, and it's Antony Blinken telling basically Israel, it makes it more difficult to return the civilians home if you do your little plan, right? So you have to kind of look at them like, duh, what are you thinking? Why would you do that? So yeah, that. And then this is really bad. Iraqi faction threatens to target the UAE in advanced position in the UAE. See that there? And what does it say? It says in advanced position for Israel. So, see this? I think I can say this. The Islamic resistance in Iraq. So it's IRII. Islamic resistance in Iraq. They are the one directing swarms of drones. That is what one or more drones is called. A swarm of drones. I didn't know that. So, yeah. But the reason they want to target the UAE is not victims. Yeah, victims. Injured. The injured people are being taken from Lebanon to the UAE. So they're like, oh, you're making friends. We might need to just drop some bombs over there to stop that. So, I don't know. It's awful. I've never heard anything like this before. Never. So I don't know. It's not good. Here's a nice, right? Not good headline. I'm not even gonna read it. You just have to go there and see it for yourself. And here, so Israel's claiming they intercepted. Oh, shoot. Every now and then it slips out, right? But anyway, Ice Cream Land is saying they intercepted some kablooies, which they know are coming from Yemen, which is the Houthis. And the little Houthi guy was on TV yelling again. I'm not sure what he said, but usually when he's on TV yelling, a day or two later, yes. All right. So I think that's it. Now, okay. We're at 36 minutes. And then let me just add to that. The Prime Minister or President, whatever, of Ice Cream Land. Yes, I know his name, but I don't want to say it. He spoke at the UN and lots of people left. And they do that. It's to show disdain, disrespect. They say you're not worthy of listening to, right? They waited for him to get to the podium and then they got up and left. So, but part of his speech was condemning the UN for their inability, right, to protect the I can't think of the word. It's difficult when I can't use the words that I want to use to find a word that's acceptable. But anyway, so while he was speaking, he dropped some more kablooies over Lebanon. So he's let me see. Did I have that? He's very let me see. No, I closed it out. He's very general in his terms because they're trying to have a ceasefire. Someone is trying to negotiate a ceasefire, which he's not gonna agree to. But he hinted at, because the swarm of drones initiate out of Iraq, they're considering dropping kablooies on Iraq. But who else is in Iraq? Yes, we are. So, like, oh, we're there and you're still gonna drop kablooies? So I think if that happens, we would have to take action, right? So I don't know. These are things that could possibly happen over the weekend. Hopefully they don't. If you're a prayer, say some prayers that cooler heads will prevail. But also, what's really scary, the target of the latest kablooies in Lebanon was last name Hezbollah, but not the main, sorry, Nasrallah, but not the main Nasrallah. He's a different one, but he's very well respected in his world. And if he was the target, right? We still don't know, as of me recording this right now, they still don't know if he's alive or not. If he is not alive, they will take swift action to avenge his unaliveness. So that's another thing that's not good. So, see, people ask me, well, why don't you think this is going to go right now? Because of all of this stuff. That's totally not, it's not keeping Iraq from being ready to open banks, move forward. This is geopolitical, Bavarian sweet cream. And we are, because we're in a position to hold Iraq's hands behind their backs, basically, right? We're going to continue to do that, unfortunately. But don't get down. Anything could happen. And Sudani's back in Baghdad. So let's just see. All right, so we're at 41 minutes. I apologize, but I told you there was a lot. There was a lot in that. Maybe you could listen half and half. All right, so thank you for listening. We're in a really good position, but also with this other mess, because that's what it is mess. That's the only negative part. All right, so tomorrow's Friday. It may be, oh no, today's Friday. Sorry. Tomorrow's Saturday. It may be slow, it may not. So if there's something for me to post, I will post. I don't anticipate posting, but I definitely will post by Sunday because I hate to do these really long ones. I know it's hard for you guys to listen, but this is really important stuff. All right, so thank you for listening. I hope you had a great Friday. I hope you have an even better weekend. If there's a join, follow, subscribe, whatever type button, wherever you're enjoying this content, do the necessary actions to activate that button, because I don't post regularly. So when I do post, if technology works as it is intended to, you'll be notified, hey, she posted. So go look at it or listen to it. And thank you for support. Um, it it really helps, and it makes me feel like some people appreciate what I'm doing. I'm just me by myself. I don't have a team of people, right? Um, but anyway, yeah, so enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you're enjoying this content. And until next time, oh, but of course, accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals and pay all your bills. Live your life too. Don't put anything off waiting for this, right? It's my Friday message. Live your life. And when this happens, it'll just be gravy. All right. Now I'm done. Until next time. Thank you.